So we had a building that we were speaking with the owner. It was a building in Montrose, built in the 1980s. The owner was a very astute businessman, very sharp guy, and we were kind of discussing what was going to be his next moves, if any. He built the property. He lived in the property when he had built it, but over the years, he had amassed a fairly large portfolio. He owned apartment buildings and self-storage facilities. He owned a building in Montrose. They enacted the unincorporated rent control, and he just said, I'm out. He kept his rents really low. The building was beautiful, right off of Ocean View, if you're familiar with that area there. So really nice area. And he finally said, you know what, I'm going to do it. So I remember it was a Saturday. I went to my office, and I said, I'll come and meet you. We could sign the paperwork and do whatever we need to do. He said, no, I'm going to drive up to your office. He lives in Rancho Santa Fe, which for those of you who don't know is northern San Diego area. I don't know if he knew what he was getting into. I think it took him 2.5 hours to get to my office. And he drove over there. My office is up the street here on Lake in Pasadena. And he texted me while I was in my office. Our office is on the 5th floor. He said, Shant, I'm in the parking lot. I have the signed agreement next to me. And I've been arguing with myself the whole drive up. I can't do it. Sorry. I'm driving back home. So he went. Took another 2 hours probably to get down to Rancho Santa Fe. He went on vacation to one of his homes in Hawaii. He was there for 2 weeks. He called me back and goes, all right, let's do it. I'm ready. So, you know, the interesting part is this is a guy that doesn't have one building. He has a lot of different aspects of investments going on. You know, and I'm thinking to myself, it's not going to be a big deal for him. But he's telling me that while he's selling the building, it's kind of a bag of mixed emotions for him. He's sitting there saying, I built this place. When I bought it, there was a house in the back. Later, I bought the lots in front of it, and I built 13 units. So there was a total of 14 units. 1985 construction, all 2-bedroom units, nice property. But I guess what I'm trying to say is, even for him, that was tough. You know, he probably had the worst drive up all the way to my office saying, I can't believe I'm selling this building that I sacrificed for, that I lived in. I didn't buy a house. I stayed inside the units in the small house in the back while I rented out the units, and he made ends meet. So it's tough. In Glendale, for instance, I was looking over some of the recent sales that we had. So the last 4 apartment buildings that I've sold there, they've all been built in the 1980s, all different owners, and they were all the original owners of the buildings. They had never been traded. The last 4 that we sold there, 2 other people, they ended up selling, and they just cashed out. They were done. They paid the taxes. So you know the gains from 1985 or 1986 when those buildings were built, it's not pretty. It's a lot of money to Uncle Sam. The other 2 had step-ups in basis. They were the heirs. They inherited the building. So everybody has a different path. And the key here is to have some type of plan or some type of roadmap that you could go to so you're not just kind of floating in the abyss. Many of the buyers we're actually seeing in a lot of these areas that most of you own and that are just governed by AB 1482, they're people coming out of LA or some of these other rent-restricted areas. They're coming in and saying, oh, there's 8% increase over here. Yeah, let's do it. I'm used to 3% or even less in Santa Monica. So we are seeing quite a bit of that. And just recently, I had a building that we sold in Montebello. There were buyers coming from Manhattan Beach. I said, are you sure you didn't get lost off the freeway over here? You know, it's a little different.